Hey there everybody. Today we're going to make an FRep macro. We're going to go through the experience shrine, make some happy little loops, and we're going to beat the hell out of our brush when it has too much paint on it. We're going to beat the fucking hell out of it. I hope you enjoy it. Alright, so let's make this macro. First thing we need to do is go to options though. We go to options, we go to system settings, and we want to make sure that detect keep pushing is turned off. And we're going to go and make sure that this doesn't say tool gap, that it says progress, and we want this to be around 5 seconds, and I'll show you why in a minute. Now we're going to go into Final Fantasy and we're going to set record, and what's going to happen is I'm going to hit record, I'm going to hit this experience shrine, and then FRep knows to wait 5 seconds like we said on that slider, and if there's no activity after that 5 seconds, it's going to create a new step, and that's what's happening. So we hit next and we're going to wait. We're going to wait for that to pop up. So here I'm not going to click this guy because I want to use that for the event, so I'm just going to click this Veritas light, so this script's always going to hit the 4th. So we got a little black cat lid here. We're going to make her super awesome, and we're going to hit depart. You'll see this pop up again because there hasn't been any activity for 5 seconds. So this macro is going to be a repeat macro. We're not going to select any abilities or anything. Usually you want this person to carry so that we don't have to do anything with this person. But Black Cat Lid is really weak right now, so just for the purposes of getting through the steps, I'm going to damage all enemies. Yeah, we'll use damnation. And we're just going to go through this. The only thing we want is one repeat click step. So let's just go ahead and get that. And it doesn't matter what we do from here on out. We just captured that repeat click, so we're good. So we're just going to go through the rest of this. Well, we got what we needed here. Alright. Repeat again. It's pretty cool. Alright, cool. So we got through the combat. Now, this step's really tricky. Well, it's not really tricky, but what we want to do is get all this to go away so that this button can appear so we can proceed forward. And we can do that by either clicking a number of times here and recording those clicks, or clicking once and then looping that one click however many times we want to make this live. So we're going to go over loops later, so I'm just going to click 10 times because that's about how many times it takes to get through this to make this live. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, next. This screen's a little more tricky because it knows all of the abilities that you've gained through going through levels, and it will show you each one, which can make this step longer or shorter. So we're going to do safe clicks up in here. It can be up to 25, depends on how many abilities you get, but I'm going to do like 1 click a second until maybe 15. So let's just do that. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we'll just stop clicking, and then that will finish our step. So if you're on a mobile, all you have to do is hit your power button to stop the recording, but because I don't have a power button, I have to go into here, and it should save it, right? Then we get this record summary. We want to click here to skip the initial delay, so you see this little line through this. We want this to be a package, and we're going to call this XP, and save it. We're going to go into FRep, we're going to go to Manage Traces, and it's going to compress all the screenshots that it took during that recording. And now we're just going to click on this and edit the sequence. First things first, we get rid of these top two things always. And then down here, this is our navigation through the Android app to stop the recording. You won't get these if you hit the power button on your device, but just know that every one of these steps when we do record mode is going to wait for an image and then perform an action on the image once it appears. So that's just why you see everything kind of staggered like that. Since we know that this is waiting for an image and that's the recording to play it, we know that these last two are the steps we did after, and we can delete those. So now we have a nice clean start. The next thing we need to do is start editing these images. We're going to put 30 seconds as best practice on these, so it's going to wait for that screen for 30 seconds, and if it doesn't find it, it's going to abort. We'll call this one diff for difficulty. We're going to edit the image. Usually it's where you clicked with this box. You click inside and you can just drag it. So we're going to drag it right here. And that's it. We're going to do that for this one too. Set for 30 seconds. We're going to call this one Rue for rewards. And we're going to take this and just have it wait for this part. So when we move that screen, we're going to do 30 seconds again. That's 4. This one's going to be companion. We'll just call that comp apply. I forgot to edit the image. So we're going to edit the rectangle, and basically what this box means is it's looking for the pixels that are on in this area. So once it sees these pixels appear on the screen, it just knows that it's found it and will continue. So we'll apply that. We'll do that for this one. We'll do 30 seconds. This one's going to be team. We're going to edit this. We want to wait for that to appear in this box, and we know we found it. We're going to apply that. Now we're in the combat. So the first step here was me setting up. We know that the repeat click is here. That's turn 3 and that's turn 4. So we have turn 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, we know we don't need turn 3 and 4, and we know we don't want the setups. We just want that good repeat. So let's keep the last one, because that was, we know we definitely repeated there. And we'll delete these. Alright, so now we have the wait for the team. We're going to set this to 60 though, because there's a connection step here, and if you have a slow connection, we want to make sure we give it enough time to wait for that. This is going to be team 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll apply that. This one is going to be the Gill screen. Again, since after you're done with combat, there's a connection. We're going to give it enough time and set that one to 60. And we want this to wait for this Gill text to appear. That appears first. We'll apply that, and then we'll go to this one. We're going to set this one to 30. That's going to be experience. We'll edit this here. You can either manipulate this box to cover just this text up here. I'm just going to move it down here randomly, so it waits for that. And we're going to apply that. Alright, so now we have the basis for our script. What do we need to add to it though? We need to add the turns. We need to add a loop to make sure we have the right team. And then we need to add the add friend question mark thing at the end. So let's just start going through. Let's go ahead and do with the team first, because that's fun. We're going to add a loop. We checked these two things because when you check something, it'll either add a step above what you checked, or it'll enclose what you checked in the loop itself. So we have the turns. Oops, I meant to make that turn. let's not be confusing. Alright, so turn 1, 2, 3, 4. So this loop, we know we have 4 turns, so we're going to set this loop to 4. And we're going to call this turn loop. So what we're doing is it's going to go in here, edit the control settings, and since we know that this button's always going to be here, what's the only thing on the screen that we can key off of that's going to make this dynamic, and that is this sword symbol. We want to see that this sword symbol is not grayed out. Your turn becomes live when this goes from being grayed out to actually being in color. So that's what we want to key off of, is this. So we'll apply that. Now we want to make sure that if it finds that, it's going to go next to actually click repeat, which is this step. And that's pretty much going to be all it is for combat. It's just loop 4 times, go through those 4 turns. It's always going to wait for that sword to become live. That's how it knows not to just loop over and over and over again. So it's just going to wait for that sword and then play. Now we need to do the team. So we want to have a team select. Well, what we need to do first is make sure that we're on the team screen. So that's what this step does. We're going to copy this step, and we're going to paste this step up here, right here. This one we're going to change to look for the team. We know that this is going to click depart, so we want to actually kind of, set that up to say depart, so it's easy to remember. So that's our depart click. So we're going to make sure that we're on the team screen, and then what we're going to do is we're going to build a loop to select the right team. So we're going to check that. We're going to click loop. It's going to build a loop around what we checked. This is going to be an infinite loop. We don't care how many times it takes to find the right team. And then we're going to edit this control. What we're actually looking for is these dots right here. Those dots are our team indicators, Unfortunately, you have to use this on a laptop. So I'm going to just change the scale of this so that we're just grabbing what the teams look like here. And we got that checked. And then we're going to increase this a little bit more. Alright, so we're fully encompassing just these, right? So let's apply that. Now what we need to do, we're going to click here so that whatever we add is going to appear right above. And we're going to add a touch. We're going to click from list so we can see the ones that we recorded, and we see the team one here. We're going to click that. And we want to change this from tap to swipe. And swipe is going to move in the direction that you actually move it. So we're just going to click and drag about from this point to this point. Any further, you start skipping 2. This one works pretty well. So we'll just apply that. So what we just did was we create a loop that's going to go in and it's going to check to see if we're on this team. And if we're not, then it's going to swipe to be on the right team. If we are on the right team, then we're going to have it go and click depart, which is right here. So we have to set this up. On a success, we know that it's found the right team, so we want it to depart. And that's why we named depart here. If it fails, we know we want it to actually swipe to select the right team. So we're not going to have it abort the script, we're just going to have it go to the next step, which is the swipe. So you can see on good, go to step 12 to depart. On fail, go down to this next step. And that loop's going to happen until it finds the right team and then take us to depart. So we have our loop for this. We have our loop for turns in combat. We just need to add one more thing, and that is the add friend dialog. You'll probably want to maybe add one for companion changed and whatnot. And I can get through like how to do that. But for now, I just want to show you the last step here to actually make this viable. So we need to add, if nothing's checked, it's always going to be at the bottom. So we're going to click here and we're going to add an image weight. And we're going to go from a file this time. And I have some screenshots saved. There should be an add friend one here. Is that it? Nope. That is the daily one. Where is it? Do I have to... That was a new. Okay, yeah. So we're going to add that screen. And this text up here should be good. I have a touch laptop screen, so I can actually modify this with my fingers. It's pretty badass. I know y'all are impressed as fuck. Alright, so we got that highlighted. We're just going to apply. We don't want to wait for too long because we know that screen pops up relatively quickly, so I'm only going to set this for 5 seconds. And we'll say this add friend. So we want to add a touch, right? So when it finds the add friend screen, we're actually going to touch the right area. Why is this not sorting right? There it is. We can grab this dot and go to don't request. We're going to apply. So we need to add one more thing. So what we're going to do is if this screen, and it finds this screen, it's going to go next and execute this step. But if it doesn't find this screen, we don't want it to abort the script. We just want it to skip this step because there's no need to click it. So we have to add a wait. And all this wait is like a placeholder. We're going to set it to 0.1 seconds, so it's very short. It's right down here. And this is just going to be our like end of the script marker. So if we need any of these steps to go to the end of the script, well, that's what this is. So in this case, we want our, if this menu is there, it's going to execute the step to close. But if it's not there, we don't want to abort. We just want it to go to the end of the script and continue on loops. So that is our experience script. Let's back out, save, and let's see if we can